I was at my friend's house the other day watching their 7-year-old son. For his birthday, he got this incredible elaborate Lego set, a spaceship with hundreds of tiny pieces. I remember sets like that. As a kid, they would have been my entire world for weeks. He opened the box, looked at it for maybe 2 minutes, mumbled cool, and then immediately asked his mom for the iPad. For the next hour, he was just glued to it. Not even playing a specific game, just swiping through this endless fire hose of 30-second videos. His eyes were completely glazed over, but he couldn't look away. Every time a video ended, his thumb would just instinctively flick upwards, hunting for the next tiny jolt of color and sound. His mom just sighed and said, "It's the only thing that keeps him quiet anymore. Nothing else holds his attention." And that's what really struck me. It wasn't that he looked like he was having profound fun. He didn't look joyful. He looked trapped. And watching him, I couldn't help but wonder if what we call a short attention span isn't a disorder, but a completely logical adaptation to a world that never stops screaming for it.
And more importantly, if it's happening to a 7-year-old that quickly, what is it doing to the rest of us? Welcome, everyone, to a deep dive into that very question. Because that image of the 7-year-old totally captivated, but not necessarily happy, that really stuck with me. You've probably felt that pull too, that almost hypnotic state our devices can put us in. So what's actually going on inside our heads when we're constantly bombarded by this relentless digital world?
It's genuinely remarkable, isn't it? This digital technology, especially our phones, it's truly unprecedented in human history.
Unprecedented, yeah.
And it's not accidental that it grabs our attention. It is fundamentally designed to do that. It's purposeful design, not some happy accident.
Right, built to hook us.
Precisely. And we're seeing some profound insights now into how this impacts brain development, particularly early on. Consider young children, specifically those aged, say, 3 to 5.
Yeah.
Researchers have observed structural changes in their brains with more screen time. What they're finding is, decreased organization of connections between regions crucial for attention, visual processing, and language.
Wow. Actual connection?
Yes, the very areas essential for their language development and later academic skills. It's not just, a behavioral thing we're noticing, it's neurobiological.
That's sobering.
And then for adolescents, it's almost a tricky stage of brain development, a kind of imbalance. Their reward system is fully online, seeking those thrilling sensations, right? But their executive control center, that prefrontal cortex we rely on for decision-making, impulse control, it's still maturing for years to come. So it's less about them being defiant or lazy and more about their brain science at that moment.
So their brakes aren't fully developed, but the accelerator is floored.
That's a great way to put it. And consider the stats. These young people are averaging 5 hours of phone use per day.
5 hours.
5 hours, receiving about 150 notifications, unlocking their phones maybe 85 times a day. Think about that. They're constantly toggling their attention, often doing other things at the same time, like homework.
Yeah, that sounds familiar.
And this constant media multitasking, it isn't just inefficient, it demonstrably leads to more attention problems. It makes them more distracted during academic activities, things take longer to complete, and ultimately it negatively affects learning outcomes. It's like trying to, fill a bucket with a leaky hose while juggling.
That's a powerful image. So it's not just us feeling more distracted or our kids maybe struggling a bit. There's real observable brain restructuring happening here. And, as we consider that, it raises a fascinating question. How does this digital reshaping connect with conditions we've studied for a while, like ADHD? Are we seeing new links?
We are. It does connect. This brings us to concepts like hyperfocus, sometimes seen in ADHD, that intense, almost tunnel vision focus on one activity where it's hard to disengage, even when it's no longer productive.
Like that child glued to the screen you described earlier.
Exactly. That state, ironically, might even increase risks like addiction, including addiction to digital content itself.
Okay.
And studies are indeed finding a relationship between what they call problematic internet use, or PIU, and heightened ADHD symptoms covering attention deficit, hyperactivity, and impulsivity.
So it can go both ways.
It's being explored as a kind of two-way street, where one might exacerbate the other. Looking bigger picture, ADHD itself is linked to reduced size and functional activity in brain regions critical for executive functions, for self-regulation.
Right.
It also involves lower functioning of certain key brain chemicals like norepinephrine and dopamine, crucial for attention, motivation, reward.
The feel-good chemicals, partly.
Partly, but also focus and drive. And there are specific genetic links, too, like the DRD47R variant. This is a specific genetic marker that influences our dopamine pathways, and it's associated with seeking new experiences and what some call split attention.
Filled attention.
Yeah, a tendency to shift focus easily. It's almost like some people are biologically wired for a certain kind of seeking behavior, and, well, the digital world is perfectly positioned to tap right into that.
It sounds like our digital landscape isn't just designed to grab attention in general. It's almost tailor-made to exploit some of these natural, perhaps even genetic brain tendencies.
That's a fair assessment.
And if it's hitting on those primal seeking behaviors, that makes you wonder about the broader picture of what we call addiction. It's not just substances anymore, is it?
Precisely. When we talk about behavioral addictions, and while there's still, ongoing debate about naming them all separately, they certainly share common features. Things like excess indulgence.
Okay.
We're talking about everything from gambling, video game addiction, sure, but also shopping, food, even things like sex and work addiction. It's a much broader spectrum now.
Right.
The neuroscience behind this is quite striking. It often begins with impulsivity, which leads to repeated indulgence, that feeling of liking something or maybe feeling better from doing it.
The initial hook.
Exactly. Then the pleasure or the kick acts as positive reinforcement. But over time, the brain's reward system can actually develop an altered set point. It recalibrates, meaning individuals can become vulnerable to dependence. Some researchers call this the dark side of addiction, where the brain starts to need that stimulation just to feel normal, not even good. What's particularly compelling is that the neurobiological mechanisms for craving in, say, online gaming addiction have been found to be strikingly similar to those in substance dependence.
Really? The same pathways.
Very similar. It's like your brain can get fooled into chasing what one researcher called a false signal of a fitness benefit from a screen. A very primal drive being hijacked, essentially.
A false signal of fitness. That's fascinating.
Even seemingly simple things like exposure to erotic content online can measurably impair rapid target perception and pull attention, showing just how powerfully these digital triggers can hijack our focus.
That point about our brains chasing a false signal of a fitness benefit from a screen.
Yeah, that's both fascinating and a little unsettling. If our brains are being fundamentally rewired, or at least strongly encouraged towards constant stimulation, what does that truly mean for our day-to-day happiness, our deeper well-being? It's not always as obvious as we might think, is it? No, it really isn't. It's a remarkably mixed bag when we talk about social media's impact on psychological and emotional well-being. It's definitely not a simple good or bad scenario.
Okay.
What's intriguing is that the type of use seems to matter immensely. Passive scrolling, just consuming content without much interaction, that often has stronger negative associations with well-being compared to active engagement, like genuinely connecting with friends online.
So lurking versus participating.
Kind of, yeah. And the amount of use matters, too.
Yeah.
Ironically, both very low and very high social media use are linked to reduced well-being.
Too little and too much are both potentially problematic.
Exactly. But here's the kicker. Moderate use can actually be associated with increased well-being and might even help foster empathy. It's almost like there's a sweet spot, a Goldilocks zone.
Interesting.
We also see that digital effects are often about short-term momentary feelings rather than contributing to long-term life satisfaction. For instance, sharing selfies can give an immediate boost in self-esteem from pure reinforcement.
The likes feel good.
Right. But the long-term sustainability of that positive impact is, well, questioned. And viewing those idyllic images, perfect bodies, perfect vacations, that's broadly linked to negative well-being, especially maybe for girls and those with internalized body ideals.
That makes sense. The comparison trap.
Definitely. Even body positivity content, which seems like it should help, while having potential upsides, can paradoxically trigger body consciousness just by bringing the topic up.
Huh. An unintended consequence.
Perhaps, but let's be clear, it's not all doom and gloom. Social media can have genuinely positive impacts too. Identity development, personality growth through self-expression, finding your community. Those are real benefits for many.
So it's complicated.
Very. And we really can't ignore the enormous role platform designers play in all this. Many policies and reports are now highlighting what they call addictive features.
Like what?
Think about infinite scrolling, those loot boxes in games that are basically gambling, or recommendation systems that just keep feeding you the next video, the next post.
Keeping you there.
Exactly. These aren't accidental features. They are specifically engineered to encourage prolonged engagement. It's part of the business model.
So it's like we're all part of this massive real-time experiment on our emotions and attention designed by these platforms. What about the darker side we sometimes hear about, beyond just feeling a bit down or distracted?
Unfortunately, yes, we absolutely see more severe emotional outcomes recognized in various countries. Things like increased stress, isolation, decreased self-esteem, pervasive loneliness, irritability. These are commonly linked to digital overuse in some studies. And cyberbullying, of course, remains a central and devastating concern for many nations worldwide. It's a serious issue.
Absolutely.
This also raises a critical point about something called desensitization. There's research showing that people who are habitually exposed to media violence actually exhibit lower anxious arousal.
Less anxiety.
Less anxious arousal, yes, and sometimes even higher pleasant arousal when viewing violent scenes compared to those with less exposure. Their emotional response shifts. It's almost like a tolerance is built up.
So they get used to it. Emotionally numb, even.
That's the concern. It's not just a moral debate. It's a measurable psychological effect that's being studied.
Okay, that's a lot to navigate, especially when you think about younger generations growing up just steep in this digital world. The situation can feel overwhelming, maybe even a bit hopeless sometimes, but we're not helpless, right? So what are some of the truly interesting ideas and strategies emerging? Ways to help foster better habits, stronger attention, especially for kids and teens.
Absolutely. There are many promising strategies emerging, and it's a huge focus right now. For parents, a key insight seems to be shifting towards what's called a positive parenting approach.
Okay, what does that involve?
It really emphasizes engaging the heart, which means connecting rather than just controlling, focusing on the parent-child relationship itself and enriching the mind.
Enriching the mind.
Yeah, allowing children to learn and be part of problem solving, instilling values, instead of just insisting on certain behaviors. It's about building that relationship first, building understanding.
Connect before you correct, sort of thing.
Exactly. And some really practical examples for parents. Well, one idea is helping teens identify why they use screens in the first place. What need is it meeting?
Get to the root cause.
Precisely. Is it for a sense of competence they get from gaming? Is it for social connection? Once you know the underlying need, you can suggest alternative off-screen activities that fulfill those very same needs.
Like what?
Well, if gaming provides strategy and team play, why not suggest something like rock climbing, or board game night, or maybe joining a chess club?
Find the real-world equivalent.
Exactly. Encourage in-person socializing, too. That's so important for cognitive health. It's irreplaceable, really. Another key thing is creating less distractible media environments for homework.
Get the phone out of the room.
Especially for repetitive tasks that become incredibly difficult with a phone buzzing nearby. We know media multitasking negatively impacts learning, so a distraction-reduced study space isn't just a nice idea, it's key for effectiveness.
Makes sense.
And interestingly, a study from Poland found that factors like parental stress, the child's own temperament, and even a lack of parental knowledge about digital recommendations all contribute significantly to a child's problematic device use. It's all connected.
So parents' well-being matters too.
Absolutely. And when parents are considering tools like parental control apps, it's vital to avoid common pitfalls. Not working together as a united front, parenting out of stress or fear, making empty threats, or crucially, neglecting that connection before trying to correct the behavior, those can actually backfire.
That's genuinely insightful, connecting screens to the underlying needs and then finding those real-world alternatives. What about schools? They're really in the front lines of this too, often wrestling with phones in classrooms, attention issues.
They really are. And it's compelling to see approaches like autonomy supportive teaching making a difference.
Autonomy supportive.
Yeah, this approach fundamentally respects a child's uniqueness. It emphasizes their freedom to choose their work sometimes, to move around, to learn at their own pace. It involves teachers offering meaningful choices that genuinely allow students to pursue their interests and goals within the curriculum.
So less sit down and be quiet and more working with the students' motivations.
Exactly. Working with students, not simply forcing compliance. And we're also seeing strong evidence that broader school-based programs are making a real impact.
Such as?
Creating a positive school climate, for example. That sounds a bit vague, but studies show it can significantly boost students' social connectedness, their engagement with school, academic achievement, even pro-social behavior.
Their whole environment matters.
Hugely. And social emotional learning, or SEL, programs teaching kids about emotions, relationships, self-management, they aren't just improving social and emotional functioning. They've also shown modest but meaningful improvements in academic performance.
That's great.
Plus, some cost-benefit analyses are pretty stunning, suggesting that every $1 spent on SEL might yield an $11 return in terms of better outcomes later.
Wow, that's a serious return on investment.
Isn't it? Mindfulness-based interventions are also showing real promise in schools, improving cognitive functioning, attention, and reducing depression, anxiety, and stress in children and adolescents.
Mindfulness, like meditation in class.
Sometimes, yeah, or other practices focused on awareness and attention training. And even specific structured programs like the Good Behavior Game used in some classrooms have demonstrated positive long-term impacts, including reducing things like early substance use years down the line.
It's really great to see these safety by design.
The idea is that digital platforms should be encouraged, or maybe even required, to investigate and modify features that might foster addiction or manipulation, things like those infinite scrolling feeds we talked about, or maybe certain types of notifications.
Building safety in from the start, not just reacting to problems.
That's the goal. And what's striking is the sheer diversity of approaches countries are trying. It's not one size fits all.
Can you give some examples?
Sure. You've got the EU actively involving children and young people in shaping digital policy, giving them a voice. Austria is focusing on strengthening digital skills directly in classrooms. Azerbaijan has implemented mandatory age labeling for content.
Okay.
France is commissioning major national reports specifically on the neurological and mental impacts of digital engagement. Germany has quite strict time-based age restrictions and technical age verification measures for certain content.
Real teeth in those regulations.
Seems so. Italy is even considering revolutionary sharenting regulation.
Sharenting? You mean parents sharing kids' stuff online?
Exactly. The regulations they're considering would ensure profits from a child's online presence go into child-owned accounts and, crucially, give children a right to digital oblivion at age 14, the right to request erasure of their digital footprint created before then.
The right to be forgotten online.
Wow.
It's a big idea. Meanwhile, Poland is boosting digital literacy through initiatives like a nationwide educational internet network. The UK has issued guidance on mobile phones in schools and enacted broader online safety legislation.
So lots of different angles being tried.
Absolutely. The key insight isn't just what specific thing they're doing, but that societies worldwide recognize this as a systemic issue. It demands innovative and varied policy interventions. It really highlights a universal struggle, to find the right balance in a world where our environments, digital and physical, are quite literally shaping our brains. It really does. We've journeyed through this fascinating and, sometimes unsettling landscape of our attention in the digital age. From seeing how the brain's reward pathways get constantly stimulated, almost hijacked, to understanding the clever algorithms designed to keep us scrolling. It's clear we're navigating a new era. We've seen how our attention spans might not be a disorder in the traditional sense, but maybe, just maybe, a very logical adaptation to a world that never stops screaming for it. And what's truly interesting, I think, is how science is now providing us with some incredibly clever ways to navigate this.
Yeah, the strategies are evolving.
Whether it's through those mindful parenting strategies you mentioned, the engaging classroom techniques, or even those surprising and bold policy innovations happening around the world. Ultimately, it's just a powerful reminder, isn't it, of how deeply interconnected our technology, our brains, and our well-being truly are.
Absolutely.
There's a quiet revolution happening, it seems, in how we understand the relationship between our screens and ourselves.